everyone, welcome to Gumroad's webinar. We're going to be talking today about 5 ways you can increase your social media engagement. So we're going to start in just a minute, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Awesome. Thank you all so much for joining. Like I said, we're going to be talking about the 5 ways you can start increasing your social media engagement. And if you don't know me, I am the head of community at Gumroad. And in 2019, I had no Twitter followers, I had no email list, nothing. And in 1 year, I grew to over 30,000 Twitter followers and over 7,000 email list followers. So today I'm going to be sharing a lot of my tips about how I did that. And one of the first things that I think everyone should know about being on social media and how to grow a following is engagement is so much greater than your follower count. So follower count, it looks great, but it's kind of a vanity metric. And you hear people talk a lot about follower count and how it's important and how those people are whatever special, but it's so not true. Because if you have 1,000 engaged fans, that is going to be so much better than 10,000 or 100,000 fans that are just not that engaged. So we really want to focus on training our audience to engage with us. And we want to get them focused on our content. And we want to get them focused on stopping and looking at what we're doing instead of scrolling. So one of the most important things you can do is, instead of focusing on, can I get my follower count up? Can I get my subscriber list count up? Can I get my email list count up? Can I get etc.? Can I get this vanity number that doesn't really mean much? It's so much more important just to focus on your engagement. So seeing if you're posting a video, how many views it's getting, or seeing how many comments it's getting, or if you're posting something in a forum, seeing how many upvotes it's getting. So the first thing that we want to do in training your audience to engage is just start interacting with them more. So you can't just put out content and think, okay, great, people are responding to it, and just leave it at that. It's so important that you're actually engaging with your audience. And this has a ton of benefits. And it's not just that, your engagement goes up, which means your sales will go up. It also means that your audience is interested in what you're doing, and that can lead to higher quality content coming from you. And you might also get some product ideas in the meantime. So first of all, constantly be interacting with your audience. So if you're on Twitter, I want you to respond to every comment that you get. And this might kind of get overwhelming, so you don't have to do every single comment, but aim to do that. And if you get DMs asking you questions, I want you to be responding to all of them, and I want you to be actively helping people. And this is especially important when you don't have a large audience. For me, for instance, I did not have a large audience when I started out. Like I said, I had 300 Twitter followers, and they were all my friends and family and coworkers. And mostly I was posting dog photos. And then I started focusing on interacting with my audience more and engaging with them and helping people and answering questions. And this is actually how I got my product idea for my book. For a little context, I had tried to do a free product in 2019, did not do well. I had maybe 50 people sign up, and it was free. So it was really depressing because I had spent months creating this product and I was so excited about it, and then no one signed up. So in the beginning of 2020, I kind of changed my tune, and I started interacting with my audience more and seeing what they actually wanted. And doing this, I was able to grow a big audience, and I was able to create content that was more interesting to them. And if you kind of put yourself out there and you start engaging with your audience more, people are going to respond. And it will start to train them that your posts are valuable, and it will train them to stop and not scroll by. Because if they're seeing your content, whether it's on Twitter, it's a Facebook group or a forum, you want people to start seeing your content, and you want them to stop and not scroll. So you really want to catch their attention. And if you're constantly engaging with them on social media and interacting with them and being helpful and providing value, that's going to start training them to stop instead of scrolling by. So this kind of leads into our next point. Show your audience that you really value them and you care about them. And this will really come through if you focus on doing things that don't scale. And this is kind of big at Gumroad. Like after this workshop, for instance, we're going to be doing a Q&A, so stick around. And we'll be answering your questions one-on-one, and you can always join our circle community as well, and we'll be answering questions there. So this is something we like to do things that don't scale, and it builds a better, more meaningful relationship. Because like I said earlier, if you have 100 engaged fans, it's better than 1,000 unengaged fans. And if you have 1,000 highly active engaged fans, it's better than 100,000 fans that don't really care about what you're doing. So help others one-on-one as much as possible. And you can do this through instant messages. You can do this through email. You can do this on forums, Facebook groups, anywhere that your audience is. You can just start helping them as much as possible. And this is something that I did. And when I started, I didn't have much of an audience, but I started offering resume reviews for free. And it's kind of an idea that a lot of people do online. You'll see Daniel Vassallo, the head of product at Gumroad, also did this. And he offered Twitter profile reviews. And he did one for me. I immediately bought his product after that, and I became one of his biggest fans. And I am an affiliate for exactly one product on this planet, and it is his product because I love his course so much. So by giving away things to your fans and helping them as much as possible one-on-one, you're creating these engaged super fans, which are going to go out and spread the word about your product so much more than a few unengaged fans, or even through ads. So doing this kind of small community, doing things that don't scale, is going to be so much bigger for you in the long run. So just try it out. I promise you, you're going to see some amazing results. And if you're not sold on this yet, you can think of the last Gumroad product that you bought. So for me, whenever I see a new Gumroad product, it's probably because I followed the person on Twitter or I saw a YouTube video and it provided me a ton of value. And I followed them for a little bit, like Daniel Vassallo. I looked at his tweets for a while. I was interested. I read his blog posts. And then it provided so much value to me that I went and I bought his course and I became a huge fan. So if you really think about the last product that you in particular bought, it's probably because you felt you had some kind of relationship with that creator, right? It's that you thought they gave you value in some way. So this can be a huge way to start building an audience. And the next thing that you need to do is create content consistently and intentionally. So what does that mean? Your audience is not just going to happen. And I don't want to say that building an audience is really difficult. It's not, but you do have to be really intentional about it. You can't be screaming into the abyss and thinking that people are seeing your message. You need to be actively going out there and sharing your message. So you need to create that, and you need to put it out every day. And you need to think actively about what are the best times to post your content and how many days a week do you need to be scheduling that content. And you can do this by creating a content plan. So you can schedule out your content regularly. You can set goals for yourself to meet weekly. For instance, this might be that you want to tweet 3 times a day, or you want to tweet 2 times a day, or you want to post 1 new blog post a week and 1 new YouTube video, or you want to engage more actively with your Facebook fans, whether that's you posting or you engaging with them one-on-one or you messaging them. Whatever it is, just set these goals for yourself, because in a month, if you follow each day a little plan you set out for yourself, you're going to see a tremendous improvement over your growth on social media. So this is going to be huge. This is something I did when I started out, because for me, I'm more introverted and it makes me extremely nervous to be putting my content out there online. I didn't like doing it, so I avoided doing it. And then, of course, I didn't grow an audience because I wasn't putting it out there. So if you're actively putting your content out there and you're sticking to this calendar, it's going to be huge for your growth. And the next thing you can do to make this really easy on yourself, it's a little trick that I've learned over the past year: repurpose your content. So if you have a podcast, maybe you can turn one of your episodes into a blog post. And if you have a YouTube video, maybe that can be a blog post. And maybe you can turn a tweet thread into a blog post, or vice versa. Whatever it is, you can kind of put the same content across multiple platforms, because people really like to consume content differently. So you might find you have a large audience that loves to watch your videos on YouTube, but then you have other people that maybe, they want to walk their dog and listen to a podcast. So trying out different forms of media can be really beneficial, and just repurposing that content to make it really easy on yourself is going to be tremendous for your growth. And this is, in my opinion, the most important thing you can do. We talk about this at Gumroad a lot throughout our challenges and all of our workshops, but focusing on value. And we get a lot of questions about how can we do this and what does this really mean? And it's all great questions. First of all, don't post to post. Don't be thinking, okay, I need to go out there now and tweet 3 times a day if those tweets aren't going to be something that really moves the needle for your audience and helps them out in some way. So don't be going out there and just posting all the time. Think about your audience and think about what they would really find valuable. And this might mean that you schedule a few interviews, one-on-one calls with your audience and ask them what kind of pain points that they're having and what are they struggling with. Or it might mean that you go and find someone larger than you on social media in your same area that you're trying to succeed in and look at what they're doing. Look at what questions they're answering and what questions they get. And they might have a lot of unanswered questions because people with larger social media profiles sometimes can't get to them all. So you might find this like amazing opportunity where you can start providing value in different ways. And the next thing, don't repeat what doesn't work. So for me on social media, I loved posting photos of my dog, but people really were not interested in those photos. And okay, I wasn't growing an audience. But if you focus on what is working for you and do more of that, it's going to be huge for you and on social media. And you can also kind of have a little cheat code for this by going and looking at what other people are doing on social media. And you can go online, you can review other people's social media profiles, like I said earlier, in your area. So maybe you have this certain kind of topic that you're really interested in and you want to create more Gumroad content on. So maybe you go find 2 or 3 top creators in that area and then find out what content works for them. You know, what times are they posting? What really doesn't work for them? And kind of create this list of the questions that they're being asked and what they're working on. And this does not mean go out and copy big social media accounts. Don't do that. But it can really help you kind of spark ideas of what works. So for me, the first course that I tried to do was a free course on habits because I love habits. And like I said earlier, it only got 50 subscribers and it was free. I was giving away it for free and I could only get 50 subscribers. And then when I really focused on looking at other social media accounts that were doing well at a topic that I felt I could provide value on, I noticed that getting an engineering job was so much more powerful than working on habits and kind of my audience. And I went out and I found top creators in my niche as well. And they were answering kind of different questions than I was focused on. So I kind of used that to create a new course and, you know, a new product for myself. So I highly recommend you try that. And the next thing we're going to talk about, create posts that catch the eye. So what does that mean? So I'm going to go through a few different things what you can do. The first one, create your own images. And if you don't have an eye for design, I don't. It's fine. It's okay. You can find someone on Fiverr and you can just get the files so you can easily edit them in the future. Or you can support a designer. Maybe you have a designer friend and you can pay them a little bit or even promote their work if they're trying to get started, whatever it is. Maybe they're just your really good friend and they're going to do it for you. Hopefully you can also pay them. But this is a great way to get a little more views on your social media posts by just having better looking images, because you don't want to just throw something out there. It's so easy. For instance, if you do have an eye for design, you can go on Canva and you can create an image for free. And this is one of the best strategies you can use for getting your audience to stop instead of scrolling by. And the next thing you can do is really focus on drawing them in. So providing something valuable right off the bat. Don't write this really long message or really long blog post that has a lot of kind of redundant language. Focus on keeping it short and sweet and providing value to your audience right away. So maybe right away you're hooking them and you have a catchy headline that gets them interested. And also using time-sensitive language. So the next 5 people that like this are going to get this deal, or the next 20 people that buy the course are going to get this deal, or this sale is only going to be valid for 2 hours. So creating something like that that really catches the eye. You can even do this for your email list. You can say, hey, I'm going to be sending out this amazing email on XYZ and my topic, and only my email list subscribers will get it. And you'll see a large boost because people don't want to miss out. FOMO is a real thing. and people don't want to see, they don't want to miss content. And the next thing you can do, give an overview and deliver value. So like I said earlier, provide something valuable right off the bat, and make sure that everything you're posting on social media is valuable to your audience. So for me, it's like really tempting to post dog photos, but they don't really do well on social media. And on my private social media, that's fine. I don't really care about that. My whole Instagram is my dog. Spoiler alert. But my Twitter is my business. So you want to create and choose, one platform, maybe it's two, maybe it's YouTube, Twitter, maybe it's Facebook, Twitter, where you're kind of focusing on that as your business. And then, like I said, you want to keep it short and sweet. Get to the point very fast. Cut out any verbose language. Read through your tweet or your blog post several times and see if there's anything you can cut out. Because you want to keep people stopping and reading your content. You don't want to keep them scrolling by. So generally, people see a large block of text. They're going to see something like that, and they're going to keep scrolling. And you want to train them to stop scrolling and read your content. So thank you so much for joining today. I hope that was helpful. We're going to go through the Q&A in just a second. So go ahead and post all of your questions in the Q&A. And just really quickly, we're going to go over create your content consistently and intentionally. I want you to go after this workshop, and I want you to set a goal for yourself that you're going to tweet maybe 2 times a day, or you're going to post 1 new YouTube video per week. Whatever that is, I want you to do that for a month and see where you are in a month. And it's going to be a vastly different place than where you are today. And then create eye-catching content. Really think about what provides value to your audience and what you can do for them. And that's going to really transform your social media presence. Like for me, I went from 300 Twitter followers to over 30,000 because I stopped posting dog photos. And then next, train your audience to engage. Because we've all posted on larger accounts and ask them a question. When they don't respond, we kind of don't ask again, right? So it's better if you're actively engaging with your audience, especially when you're small, and providing value to them in that way. In the way that we do at Gumroad, I'm doing things that don't scale. Highly recommend you try this. And the most important thing, providing value. Just really talking with your audience one-on-one, seeing what they're interested in, seeing what you can answer for them and how you can help them. So I'm going to open up the Q&A. Feel free to go ahead and post your questions in, and we'll go through all of them. Okay. So our first question, got it, be a human. Yes, it seems so obvious, but it's definitely an important thing to remember that, people like valuable content and they like people that are real. You don't need to be going out and, creating ads. So very funny comment. I'm going to go to the next question. So this question is, creating content and engaging audience feels like chicken and egg. Yes, it does. How do I engage an audience if they don't exist yet? Or how do I know what content to create if I don't have audience engagement around my interest yet? Just friends and family. So I've been there. So going and seeing what other people are creating online and finding out, maybe they're in the same topic as you, and maybe they're in a place where you would like to be. Maybe they have a lot of followers and they're selling a really successful Gumroad course. I would recommend, for this creator in particular, go find a few of those people and see what they're doing and start engaging with their content and start creating content that are your own ideas, but are answering questions from their audience, because you have a very unique perspective. You are the only person on the planet that is you, and you're going to answer something very differently than someone else would. So go find questions that other people are asking. This is a great question, and we're actually doing a Gumroad challenge right now about building your audience, and we're talking a little bit about this throughout it. So hopefully you've joined. If not, we're going to have this challenge again soon. So awesome question. Hopefully that was helpful, and feel free to always DM me on Circle, and I can post the link to the invite in the community here. Let me do that right now. And we will always answer our questions one-on-one there. And if you ask them in public, it is even better, because other people will also get value from that. So my next question is from Kate. You mentioned you are an active DMer. I get the feeling that a lot of people who DM me on Facebook are not real. They keep asking me personal questions, such as where do you live? I end up blocking them. They ask or say nothing related to my page or any indicator that they know anything about me. How do you deal with that? Yeah, so that's unfortunate. Don't respond to those people, Kate. It's good you're not telling them where you live too. Not that I thought you would, but that's yeah, good call. This is unfortunate. This is something that happens a lot on Twitter, YouTube comments. You're kind of going to have to use your own judgment here and filter through. I would say that, like you can already tell, a lot of these people are probably fake. Facebook isn't my favorite platform personally. I really like Twitter because you can kind of see someone's profile and you can see a little bit more if they're real or not. So feel free to DM me on Circle and we can chat a little bit more about this. This is a tough one. I wouldn't spend a ton of time on any one single DM until you've kind of engaged with them a little bit more and you've provided some value and you can tell that they're a real person. Yeah, so my next question. So I would like to ask, I am an artist. I want to start at Gumroad and social media, but I don't know how I should start. And how can I be noticed in a certain sector? Thank you. Great question. So if you want to get started, I would focus on just putting a little bit of content out there for free at first and seeing how people engage. We have a ton of artists on Gumroad, and we also have an art channel in our Circle community. So you can go ahead and also join that and see what other people are doing. I would go out and find a few artists on Gumroad that you're inspired by and kind of see what they're doing and kind of see how they got their start. And kind of the biggest tip that I could say to you is that just get out there and start creating. And it's going to feel a lot less intimidating once you just get started. So it's a great question. Always feel free to DM me. We can go through this a little bit more. So the next question from Kate, I'm a freelance illustrator and I want my posts to gain the attention of artist agents and publishers. I love some tips on how to accomplish this. So I'm not sure about this one myself. I'm not an illustrator, but if you want to post on Circle, you can have a lot of creators on Gumroad that will be able to answer this for you, and they'll provide a lot better of an answer this to me. I would say just in general for getting social media attention, one, start posting, start putting content out there, start seeing what people are reacting to, and kind of go from there. And you might find that even if just posting a few times a day, maybe once a week, you're going to start getting a lot more traction. But if you're not putting your content out there, like I said, you're kind of just screaming into the abyss. Oh, so this is a great question. What has been the most surprising thing you have learned? Oh, that is a really tough question. I would say how easy it is to actually grow a social media presence, because I always thought when I was posting my dog photos or my political takes, wow, okay, I'm not getting Twitter followers. It must be really, really hard to get followers. Or, wow, I posted this video and no one watched it. Or I created this entire course and no one, really wanted it. And I would say for me that once I realized what people actually wanted and I started creating content on that, and I started looking at what was working and how I could really help people one-on-one, that I realized, okay, this actually isn't a difficult thing to do. But in my head, it was a difficult thing to do because I hadn't done it. So I would say that is the most surprising thing that I've learned. And then also how people really do want to help you on social media. Because posting on social media, it's kind of, it's nerve-wracking, especially if you're introverted like me. It's really scary and intimidating to put your content out there. But once you start doing it, a lot of people just want you to succeed. And yes, there's going to be the rare, comment where someone can be like mean or a little bit hurtful and they might not even know they are, but the nice comments are going to really outweigh all of those. And you're going to forget about any of those because so many people really just want you to succeed. So if you think about yourself, I want other people to succeed. I want other people on Gumroad to sell a ton of products. And if you think about you, you probably feel that same way too. So when you think about it in that way, posting your content online is not as scary. Hopefully that was helpful. Okay, this is another great question from John. We kind of talked about this a little bit already, but I think this is really relevant to everybody. A question about a catch-22. What does it mean to talk to your audience when you don't have one? This is such a great question. Thanks, John, for following up on this one. I would say that scheduling a few one-on-one calls with maybe someone you find online that is in your niche or is interested in your topic, or like I said in the workshop, going and finding someone on social media that is already creating content that you're kind of interested in creating similar content. Maybe it is content about decorating cakes, maybe it's knitting, maybe it is fitness, maybe it is engineering, whatever it is, go online and see what people are asking those creators, see what kind of questions they're getting. And this will kind of help you create content around that to start attracting those people to your content. So hopefully that was a helpful answer. Just really go out there and kind of see what other people are asking those creators. So this is another great question. How do you find a niche and how to research what gives value for that? So it really depends. This is something we talked about a lot in the challenges, and you can go ahead and download the 14-day product guide. And I would first of all think about what you are good at and what kind of knowledge you already have, because it's going to be really difficult to go out and create a ton of social media content about something you're not interested in. So going out there and really focusing on something you are interested in, something that you know about, and then something that other people are asking, that's going to be a really great way to kind of narrow down. And we actually have a process for doing that in the 14-day product challenge. So if you download that at gumroad.com/gumroad, you can walk through that and kind of see yourself how you can do that. And then how to research what gives value for them. Go out and see what other people are asking on social media, and just go out and find similar profiles and see what they're answering and see what questions they're getting. So hopefully that was helpful. So we have a great question. So if you give so much for free, how do you transition into presenting a product for payment? It seems difficult, but it's actually really easy. There's a few creators online who've talked a lot about this, that if you create a lot of content online for free, you're kind of building up this spring of tension, and it's getting like tighter and tighter and tighter. And once you release your product, it kind of just explodes. Everyone wants your product and everyone is interested because you've already given them so much value for free. Like for instance, Daniel Vassallo, I didn't know him from any other person. And then he gave me a Twitter profile review. And I suddenly was extremely interested in his content, and I became one of his biggest fans. And he technically had given away a lot for free. He had to go and do a lot of Twitter profile reviews, just like I spent hours and days and weeks giving away resume reviews at first when I started out, when it was still a little bit more scalable. So this can be it seems a little daunting at first, but giving away a little bit for free, seeing people are interested, and then releasing a product, you're going to have those people, they're already your supporters. It's going to be so much easier if you give away a little bit for free and then you release a product. And you can even use a little cheat code for this creator in particular. You can create a product and say, give away one chapter for free. Or if it's a video course, you can create your entire video course and give away one section for free. And it's kind of a little cheat code and how you can give away content for free. Repurpose some of your content and then give that away for free and see if people are interested. So hopefully that was helpful, and feel free to always join the Circle community and DM me or ask in public. I'm going to go through for one of the next questions. Thank you all there's just so many great questions. Hopefully we can get to them all. Feel free to keep posting. We're going to go through as many as we can. So this is a great question. What is a Gumroad circle? So we are using Circle for our Gumroad community now. We're answering your questions one-on-one there. We're running all of our challenges there. We're posting our announcements. And I posted the link in the chat. I'm going to go ahead and post that again. So this link is your Circle invite where you can join the Circle community on Gumroad. And it's basically kind of a large forum where we answer all your questions and we help you one-on-one. It's a great place to kind of meet other creators as well. So hopefully that was helpful. I highly recommend everyone join this community. So a great question from Eric. Do you think Twitter is better for building an engaged audience versus Instagram? So this really depends on where you want to build your audience and where your audience is. So for instance, if your audience is not on Twitter, then you want to be on Instagram. And if they're not on Instagram, you want to be on Twitter. So this is really dependent on your community. For instance, for me, I'm mostly focused on coding and tweeting about that. So my community is all on Twitter. So I am mostly on Twitter now. And I've kind of moved off other communities. So for you, I would focus on first finding out where your audience is, where they're posting, what times are they posting online, and focus on providing content there. So I can't answer this in particular for you, Eric. Always feel free to DM me. We can chat a little bit more about this, but it's really dependent on where your audience is. So we have a great question. How do you deal with non-constructive criticism on social media? And this is a great question. It gets easier. A lot of people online, they're going to put, they're going to be online just to kind of say hateful things on your tweets. It might not happen to you. YouTube video comments, you might get some hurtful comments. The majority are going to be really positive. Just brush it off. For me, it really used to really hurt me online when someone would say something about me. I'm a real person. You're a real person. We don't like people saying mean things, but you really get a thicker skin and you get a tougher skin after you went through it a little bit. So I hate to say, just you have to put up with a little bit. I would block immediately. I would mute people immediately if they say something hurtful. Some people will even post something on social media and they will mute that, whatever it is, the notifications forevermore. So it might be something you might consider as well, and just kind of going through and finding the more positive ones. So I hate to say that the answer is just ignore it, but it's really, if you want to post things online and put yourself out there, there's always going to be the occasional person who might have a mean comment. And I really hope this doesn't happen to any of you, because it sucks. It does hurt. But the constructive, kind comments are going to far outweigh any hurtful criticism that you might get. So hopefully that was helpful, and do not let this prevent you from putting content out there, please. Because once you have that Gumroad paycheck coming in and you're seeing very happy, satisfied customers and people are telling you how you've changed your life, you are going to completely forget about the hurtful comments. I couldn't tell you a single hurtful comment off the top of my head right now that I've gotten, because I'm so much happier thinking about the comments that people have given me that are kind. So this is a great question. How big of a difference were the products you originally started with and the products your audience ended up wanting? Was it in the same niche or adjacent, or did it surprise you? So it did surprise me, because I did not have all of these workshops and challenges and Gumroad support at the very beginning. I kind of was out there alone on a different platform, and I was putting out courses on things that I didn't really have an audience in, and I didn't really have people that were really interested in that content either. And it did surprise me, because I kind of didn't approach this in the ways of what was my audience interested in, what did I have a lot of knowledge in, and what was I interested in. I kind of went through what I was interested in, and that really wasn't helpful for building a large audience. So for me, I started out with habits, and I thought, okay, maybe I'll do something on dog training. And then I went to coding, because I saw the audience was a lot bigger. I had a lot more knowledge in that, and it was going to be far more successful. So definitely, it was a big surprise, and it was definitely a big shock, spending months on creating a course that nobody was really interested in. So I highly recommend you join some of the challenges and save yourself from doing the same thing that I did. So I'm going to go through some of the next questions. This is a great question. How often do you post? Times a day? So for me in particular, I like posting in the morning. I like scheduling my posts out in the morning, but there's occasional posts that do really well, maybe like Thursday nights. I would say Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, those are your best days to post. Preferably, you're going to be posting on schedule a few times every day. But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, even Fridays are going to be when people are just engaging a little bit more online. On weekends, people, they don't really want to check social media. They don't want to check their email. That's when we want to kind of cut off from the world. Mondays as well, those are really busy. So I would say find your audience online, see what times they're engaging, and start posting in those times. That's going to be the most powerful thing you can do. Really focus on where your audience is. So I can't answer this specifically, but I can say that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, those are going to be your best days, and then focus on when your audience is really online. So our next question, will there be a replay of this talk? Yes, there will be a replay. We post it on YouTube, and we'll also post a follow-up on Twitter as well. So go ahead and look out for that. And let's see, our next question. Should I use Facebook or Instagram ads to target to get my audience? So depending on what your audience is, and for you, Instagram ads are going to be really successful if you kind of know what you're doing. So I highly recommend you go and take some courses on that so you don't waste your money. But Instagram ads are kind of like the cheat code. I know Jose Rosado in particular talks a lot about this and doing well on Instagram. And he's done really well really quickly just by Instagram ads. So I would say it really depends where your audience is. And I can't answer this, say, do Facebook or do Instagram, but go online and find out where your audience is spending time. Because if your audience is solely on Instagram, your Facebook ads are just going to be a waste. So you need to go and do a little bit more, research before you kind of go through this and decide for yourself. This is a great question that I think will be relevant to everybody. I have 2 Gumroad products in my profile, 30 followers on Instagram. Any tips on how to start selling, start posting, giving away free value? So this is really dependent on what you're trying to create. I would say that start with giving away a little bit out of your product and give away a tiny portion of that. So if you have a book, give away a chapter, or start creating, content from the product, posting that on Instagram, seeing how people are interested. Running Instagram ads would also be helpful in your case for sure. And I would say just go out there and start posting and see what works for you. So I can't say like, oh, this is going to work for you immediately. Just go ahead and go do that. You really need to start creating this process where you're posting a few times a day and you're seeing what works for you. Because for your audience in particular, they might respond to something really well. They might respond to something and just be not as engaged. So just get out there. That's like the best tip I could possibly provide you, is just start posting and seeing what works for you. That's a great question. And the next question, how do you always come up with relevant content? So like I said earlier, go find your audience, see what they are interested in. And that's going to be the best way you can start creating content. And if you do not have an audience, like I did not, go see what other people are posting kind of in the same content that you want to create and see what questions they're answering. So for me, it was a lot of, how can I improve my resume? Where can I find an engineering job? Things like that were kind of more in my forte of what I should have been creating. But instead of creating this entire habit course, it did not do well. But just go and kind of see what other people are asking, what topics that they're really interested in. And that's going to be kind of the best way you can start creating content online. We have an awesome question. Do you create content in advance? If yes, for how many days? So I kind of do both. I create content live and then I create content in advance. For me, I've created a few guides online and they were giving away tons of my knowledge for free. One took me about a month to create, the other took about 2 weeks. I spent a lot of time going into them. I even hired a designer to create them. And they did extremely well because I gave away so much value for free. So I would say for this creator in particular, really you can create anytime. It doesn't really matter, whatever works for you. I like creating in advance and I like scheduling it out. So there's a lot of apps you can use to schedule your social media posts and kind of take the pressure off yourself a little bit. So you can kind of have a few ways you can do this. You can schedule it. You can just create ahead of time, post it live. But I think as well, when you're just starting out, I would focus on posting a little bit and then seeing what works, seeing what doesn't work, and creating more content that does work. So we're almost out of time for questions. So I'm just going to go through a few more really quickly. This is a really great question. How do you deal with an audience or an email list that doesn't engage? So this is a tough question. This is fair. I would start by going out, finding a few social media, people that you admire in your niche and seeing what questions they're answering, and then start answering those and building your audience in that direction. So maybe it's YouTube, and I'm not saying go out and copy anyone, don't copy content, just get ideas. For me, when I see something online, I have my own idea for how I would answer it and how I would approach the problem. And then it's completely different from how someone else would. So I would really focus on first building an audience by answering questions that people are already asking online and seeing kind of what content works from there. And the next question really leads into that. How do you define what is working? Are you looking at metrics or is it more of a gut feeling? Definitely looking at metrics. I wish I had like a gut feeling about what could work or not. That would be so handy. I look at engagement. I look at how many people are actually, liking or watching the video, how many comments I'm getting, how many, DMs I'm getting on Twitter from people that are interested, wherever your platform might be. Looking at the engagement there and watching that grow, that's going to be huge. And even if you have a small audience right now, if you just go and you start posting online, seeing what people are engaging with, and then DMing them one-on-one and seeing, hey, how can I help you solve your problem? For me, for instance, I had no followers. I started doing resume reviews, and that was huge for me. I really grew really fast on social media because I was giving away value and I was helping people one-on-one, which also helped me create more content because I learned what people were interested in. So I'm so sorry we did not get a chance to answer all of the questions today, but please join the Circle community. We've posted the link in the chat, and I can always answer your questions through message there or right on Circle. So thank you everyone so much for attending. We really appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon.